think we're starting. Again, it's always awkward for the first couple of minutes because I never know if it's actually starting until I start seeing it in Twitch. Okay, it looks like it's starting. Um, but while I make sure, I need to do some retweet stuff because I have too many Twitter accounts to manage. One for the game, one for the company, and one for me. Hey, too many. Far too many. Refresh this. I don't know. The app on the phone is not nearly as good as it should be. Um, there we go. There's that. And so, I guess we should get started. Um, once I get stupid Twitter on my phone figured out. Makes it way too hard to actually get things going. Okay. Got everything retweeted. Um, so we're going to do a little bit of stuff with weapons today. Um, I had briefly mentioned that it's a little nasty right now, just because it was coded a long time ago, and I think it needs to go through and have a little bit of refinement done. Last time I did a refinement was on climbable objects, so stuff like ladders, and I cut out, I think, like half of the code base. Well, not half the code base, but half the lines of codes for it because they were just redundant and really messy, and there was a much cleaner way of doing things. So, oh, hello! Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, you stream soon, don't you? 'Cause I know you stream weeknights around is it 8 or 9. But yeah, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. um, and yeah, I have like 3 different accounts for Twitter. So one's for the game, one's for the company, and one's for me. So I tend to like retweet 17,000 things. Um, yeah. So like I was saying, we're gonna take a look at some of that stuff. Try and clean it up a bit today. And I can talk you guys through some of the ways that I'm handling all of the interactive objects in the game and stuff like weapons or the lantern. Um, and right now, I guess I can actually show you. I just put this test room together. It's just a room with test written everywhere. So there are a couple of there are 4 different items in here, and they belong to 3 different groups. The wizard cap here is part of the clothing item group. Clothing items you can actually wear. As of right now, the wizard cap is the only one in there. If I can think of a good way to implement other stuff, I probably will stick more clothes in there. Not that you can ever really see them since it's first person, but they do different stuff. So actually, I'd say take, wear hat, and I'm now a wizard. So that'll do different stuff depending on what the puzzle calls for. I'm thinking of a couple of different ways that you can use the wizard hat later on. So this is the dagger that we've been working on for the past, at least the past couple of dev streams. We'll take this and we'll hold dagger, and it now has proper stats and all that stuff. It sets up the right way. Probably should have made the test room a little darker. Like you can see, most of the swords and daggers and stuff have gray for their base color because, well, they're steel and iron and all that stuff, and those are gray metals. So, but yeah, you can see that we equip it, do all that stuff. I can unequip dagger and unequip it. I can also, I think I can say take off cap. Yes, I can. Aha. I never remember if I was smart in the past or not, or if I was trying to just be overly ambitious and actually do stuff. So I can say take and hold lamp. Night lamp. So this will let us. This test room is just sort of meant to test base mechanics, because the way the game works, as long as things work here, they'll work where they're supposed to everywhere else. Because it's all just variations on interactive objects and their various derived classes. Take, so let's go ahead and say hold sword. That'll put out the lantern and unequip it, and then equip. Okay. Is that where the dagger gets equipped? No, it's not. Okay. Does that mean that my sword has an offset? If it does, I might as well just move the, but I should see what the lantern looks like, too. So, not the UI. Hero, look object, right equip point, small dagger, and hero sword. Hero sword does have an offset. Okay. Probably did that on purpose. Yeah, because lantern doesn't, and lantern is a very big object. Yeah. No, I could definitely move things a little over to the right. I wonder why I did that. I'm wondering if that was possibly a way to handle resolution better. Just because I was worried if people tried to do a non-16:9 resolution, it might get weird. But I mean, not very many people do non-16:9 resolutions or 16:10, but that wouldn't do much differently, honestly. So I might actually. There's the arrow. Pause. I guess I could just do Control P, but I never do Control P. So let me find this. Oh, okay. Find this. Of course. Right. Okay. Actually, hold on. So this is going to be fun. We are going to cheat and move the utility stuff over here. I love how I told you guys we were going to do weapon stuff, and we are. I just wanted to fix this real quick because it's not going to be that bad. Let's just slide this over to here. I think that'll be good. Actually, let's see if we can do just 7.75. I like that. 0.75x. Wow, that looks like it's really far away from the player, but yeah, I mean it's 16:9 resolution. I would. Oh, maybe that's why I did it, because I wanted it to be more center frame. But I feel like that gets in the way, actually. I mean, I can just change it back later. For now, I think I'm actually going to keep this, which means that this should be negative 0.75 for the left side. Let me move you back here to utility. Do this and do that. I'm not going to be too precise with it, as long as it's in the scene. Okay. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and apply changes to that. Oh, I also close this. I don't need to see that. Or I do, because that's the outline for the player character. Close this. Okay. Is my audio turned down? No, it's a 0.5. I didn't hear any walking sound effects. Oh, nope, there it is. I just wasn't paying attention. Okay. So now we will take a look at the weapon script stuff. So let's go to scripts. I'm not seeing scripts. Gameplay. Interactions. Interactive objects. Inventory. And utility? No, that doesn't make sense. Oh right, a lantern has its own script. I forgot about that. I guess I got rid of. Oh right, I got rid of weapons a long time ago. I forgot about that. I used to have a class called weapon, but since weapons don't really exist, since there's no real-time combat anymore, there's no need to have them. They just need to be weapons. So I guess we don't need to clean up weapons. I don't know why I thought we did. I must have been going crazy before. Although, fun. What we can do, I forgot about this, is work a little bit on the weight system. So right now, there is no actual limit on how many items you could carry. In theory, we could have 10,000 items in this room, and you'd be able to pick up and walk around with every single one. But I want to encourage. I'm also going to get rid of or change hero's sword equip position back to 0. Then let's see what that looks like. But I want to encourage players to drop off treasure or unusable items or items that have no real practical use in puzzle solving. So, oh crap! Don't want to do that. Okay. Yeah, let's keep. Just change the X to be 0 for now. Let's see what that does. That's a lot nicer because the sword was kind of. I mean, that's where the sword was originally, anyway. Yeah, that's kind of what I like. It just needs to be present enough that you can tell you're holding it, but not so present that it's right in the middle of the screen. This isn't Doom with medieval weaponry, although that would probably be a really awesome game. I'd be surprised if that doesn't already exist. But yeah, back to the weight thing because I have no attention span. The inventory, I would like to make it so that you have to drop stuff off at a specific point, similar to how the original Zork had a treasure chest. I would like to implement that as your sort of stop point, the place you come back to at whenever you need to resupply or get items. And I have that place in the game already. I just need to actually get a chest in there so you can drop stuff off. But the idea is that that chest will be the container for your treasures and your items that you don't need anymore, but you did at one point. And that's how the game's going to keep track of your score. So again, very similar to, actually not very similar, exactly what the original Zork did with its chest in, or I guess it was a display case in the abandoned house at the very beginning of the game. I could try to make it a display case, but that would be really, really hard. I would have to have very specific layouts, which, oh, who am I kidding? I'm going to try that at least at some point, but we're not going to do that tonight because that would be so nightmarish. So nightmarish. So very nightmarish. Just really the worst. But I want to have that weight system in there just to make things more interesting. Make it so the player has to carefully consider what they're actually going to carry around with them. I don't just want them to carry all the keys to the castle, as it were, which I think is the phrase. Keys to the castle? Or it's keys to something. Keys to the net. But yeah, so we can take a look at that, actually. Which that is going to be part of inventory, probably. I might already have it. And excuse me. All right. I don't know why MonoDevelop does this. I hate it when it does this. It opens up files from another project after you've opened this for the first time in a while, or first time after opening the other project, I guess. Yeah, I don't know why it does it. It's really annoying though. Okay, so this is the script, and let's see. So I do have overburdened stuff in there. Let me... Do I have it then? Huh. I guess I do. It's already in there, and I just never realized it. Okay. Weird. And now I don't remember where the inventory. It's probably in resources. Or not. Great. Does it just get generated at runtime? Probably does, knowing me. I love to generate things at runtime. Of course it does. Okay. So, fine. fine. And we'll just change it here. So as it is right now, you can only carry 20 weight or 10 items. And that does not count stacking items. That means only individualized items. So, for example, in one of the levels, there's a wheat field, and you could just sit there harvesting wheat all you want. Although I think it might cap out at nine wheat at once. You can only carry 9 of a single object at a time. And the inventory would treat that as just one item, even though you technically are carrying 9. However, the weight for that would accumulate. So for every wheat stalk you have, that's a certain amount of weight. But since it's wheat, it's probably not that heavy. So let's just bring this down to like 2. And let's bring max weight down to... Well, actually, let's do 3. And then bring max weight down to 4. Because my sword's probably going to be at least 2, I would think. If not, it should be, and I will change it. That compile. Let's go over here to equivable hero sword. Its weight should be 2. Small dagger should probably... we'll keep it at 1 for now. Probably won't make... I'll probably make very few things way less than 1. Okay, and the wizard cap, I assume, is also going to be 1, because it's probably just set to be default. It is. Okay, so we'll try picking up all those things, and then see if we can pick up the lantern. Take. Tajig. I don't even know what that is. Take. And moment of truth. That means that I have the system set up, but it's not being used properly. Let me check. Oh, yep, there's this to-do right there. It's okay. So I probably actually need to check it here. Gross. I doubt that's going to be in session. It's not going to be in session. Oh, and get item is actually not what we want. Right? No, it is, right, because there's add item to inventory, which is... I have to have 2 separate things for adding items to the inventory. One is the get item, which is actually the player like getting an item, they pick it up. The add item to inventory is meant to do a lot of the same things without having to do checks and all of these things, because it's meant to be whenever you load your save file. I don't want to have all of these items getting added because there's some extra stuff that goes on, and I don't care about all that. I just want to have it just be added to the inventory, and just make sure that the data is there. I don't need to have all the items actually be generated at that point. So, right, let's go to find references. So it's going to be inventory. That's where we declare it. Interactive object. This is probably... Okay, yes, right here. So all of these places. Ugh, man, item needs to get cleaned up. That's definitely for sure. Oh, gross, I have a bunch of debugs in here. Okay, I don't need those. I'll probably leave them in there, though, because I might need them in a little bit. Probably not tonight, but I do have to do some of the... I need to do some cleanup on containers, because they work right now, but they're a little strange. I want to try to come up with a better way to do them. But, okay, so I guess I could take this as an opportunity to walk you guys through how this works. So item derives from interactive object, and what happens when you go through here, when you interact with an object, it has a lot of data that gets sent through the parser, and when you try to do anything to the object, the parser parses everything out, sends the correct sentence information to the object that you're interacting with, so the subject of your sentence. through check phrase, which takes a word, which is the verb, the actual word being used, and that's what's used to sort of check if you need to do specific outputs for specific words like get versus take or anything like that. The interactive object is the indirect object here, so that's what the indirect object of the sentence would be. So if you said unlock door with key, the door is the subject and the key is the indirect object being used on the door. The direction is any direction that the sentence would be going in, and that's not like a philosophical question. That's a literal direction. So if you say like climb ladder, climb implies going up. So climb actually has a direction of up by default. But you could also say go, and go just means move or climb, but it doesn't necessarily mean a direction. So you would have to specify go up. And in that case, the word would be up, and that would be the direction. Otherwise, it would default to whatever the actual word is. So in case of climb again, climb implies up. So climb would be the word for direction. Space after is used if the parser should have a space after the output of this sentence, and that's used if you do like with the lantern, you can do compound sentences. So I can say take. So I have the lantern. I can say hold and light lamp. It'll do both, and that's what that space after is looking for. If it should have multiple outputs like this, equipped and lit, then you don't want to have an extra space after it. You just want it to immediately go to the next line. And then if I type examine, you see that we have that space below lit in between examine, or in above examine. So stop that. Let's go back here. And the check phrase is just making sure that everything works. It's, you know what? I bet I could move this user check. So this bit right here is actually checking if the player just typed use the object. And I didn't want to have a game where you could just type use and always get the right answer. So what I did is, but I can, well, that's fine for now. So what I did is if the user types use, then it will randomly select one of the verb types and try to just see what happens there. So there's 29 different verb types right now, and if you type use, like say if you wanted to say use key on door, it'll just randomly choose one of the verb types and try to use the key on the door that way. So you have a 1 in 29 chance right now of it, or I guess, 1 in 29 chance of it picking unlock. In that case, use would actually unlock the door. But most likely you would get like you tried to hit the door with the key or something like that. And I did that just because I didn't want to have a game where you could just breeze through it using use. But I also didn't want to just say I don't understand use because everyone's going to try to use use. So I wanted to do something that would be a little more clever and allow people to do it if they really wanted to, but also push them in a direction to be more specific. So that's why I have use as a vague word. I probably should say something like use is not specific enough. But for now, I'm going to leave it as is. I'll probably do a little more playtesting with that to make it actually work right. I need to change these enum to use my my current enum system. I have a better way of parsing this stuff out. I don't need to have system doing it. Verb type. All right. So this part right here, this looks through all of the items verbs that I've set and looks for the verb that matches the word that has been used. So if you type like eat, door, or something like that, it will loop through and look for the eat verb, or it's eat. And in the case of a word like consume, which could mean eat or drink, it will actually loop through and add both eat and drink, and then it will look for, it'll store that information for use later, and I'll talk about that in a second when it gets there. This checks to see if you have any verbs that were actually of the verb type. If not, it automatically just outputs the you can't do that as a safety feature. We don't, because I don't want it to have a possibility of just spitting nothing out. When it does that, it just looks broken. So it's better to have, by default, if the computer doesn't know what to do, just say you can't do that. And this for loop here, this is actually taking a look at the the verb that's being used, and if there are multiple verbs in verbs, in the verb type for the word, it is going to actually look for one that does not just put out text. So if there's a verb type that gives you an item or activates something somewhere else, it's going to use that as the verb to look at. And that's because, again, with having words that could be multiple verb types, you want to have the verb that does something be the output. Um, and if there's nothing like that, if everything just returns text, then it looks for one that does not just output a fail state, which means that the output isn't the default fail, and then it will do that one based on order. And if everything fails, then we just do the first verb and say, okay, nothing else was caught. There's no real scenario for whatever just happened, which means that it must be right probably, or it's just we just need to go with it. Check verb is doing the actual. Oh yeah, it's actually making sure that the verb and input and all the other stuff that you've done actually match up. So if you have like unlock door and the door needs a key, it will say, what would you like to unlock the door with? And that's just part of the. Let me look at environment. Oh, wrong thing. Ah. So in your verbs over here, which I probably should make a nice custom editor, you have stuff like add to inventory and all that. But it's going to act. But you have required items, and if you have something in required items, that means that you have to do this verb with that item. So otherwise, it won't work. So you can't just do some things like for example, the door example. You can't just unlock a door that requires a key by yourself. You need to have the key. So in that case, it'll actually prompt you for a key or for something to unlock the door with. And after all that, it's actually going to go through and do whatever the verb needs to do. And this is largely dependent on the item type. The base interactive object just sort of handles adding and removing stuff from the inventory. It doesn't really do anything for equip, unequip, light, extinguish, or combine items, which means I probably don't even need those here, actually. Those are just wasted lines. Because base interactive objects cannot be added to your inventory. They're objects that are in the world. And of course, items can be added to your inventory, and items derive from interactive object. But interactive object is just any object that you can interact with. And I don't want to have. I couldn't think of a scenario where you would be combining items that are in your inventory with items that are in the world itself, or other such things. But that might change in the future. Just with stuff like insert slab into wall or something like that. That could be a sort of weird case. And in that case, I think I actually have a completely separate script to handle it, just because it's going to do that one specific thing, and interactive object do that. But yeah, that's sort of a quick and dirty. And then this entire output stuff, this is just telling the output what to do and to replace object name in the information with the actual name of the object. Yeah, it's kind of a nasty system. I mean, it functions pretty well, but and you do need to go through all of those steps to actually get sort of a sense of language working properly. But it can get a little tedious, well, not tedious, a little cumbersome to actually get things working properly. And I always have the fear if I change even one small thing, I have to go through and rigorously test because more often than not, any bugs that arise from the parser arise because I just missed one or two lines of code that I immediately know how to fix them if I notice them. But because the parser is so large and these interactive objects have to sort of handle language itself as their as their details, it can get very easy to overlook some some phrases or ways of speaking that I never use personally, but other people just use all the time. And that's why playtesting this stuff is always fun, because I get like 12 pages of notes from a single playtest with people who've never played it before. But yeah, that was a quick rundown of how all the information gets sort of parsed out. Although I don't think I've ever shown you guys my actual parser. I probably won't, just because it would be an hour of me describing how it goes through, because it goes through all of the stages of languages, or of the English language, to set up its information and do checks. Um, so I will actually get rid of that. Don't need that. Okay. So wait, that's God. I am just not good at focusing. I get off on tangents all of the time, don't I? Um, it's just because I'm so excited to tell you guys. Ah, Cakes and Cocaine, you're back. Hello, Cakes and Cocaine. Thanks for stopping by again. Uh, Currently, we're just going through, and I just finished walking through the sort of way that the player's input gets parsed out and sent to individual items in the world. And I'm looking at implementing a weight system to the inventory right now. So go back to the inventory and find where get item is being used. So we're going to need to change it in most of these areas. So all we'll really need to do is inventory. Do I have an inventory check function? I think I do. Add item, remove from inventory, find item, find items, find items, display inventory, display item, check item amount. That's not what I need. I think we'll just do check weight, or I just want a quick bool up at the top here. So public static bool. Just do can carry item, and then we'll pass an item. Say if, I'm assuming I called it weight. Yep. Oh, there it is, current weight. Current weight plus item dot weight would be greater than max. What did I call it? It's probably instance because it's a private or a public variable. Yep. Instance dot max weight. Return false. Hello, Mr. Shoka91. I have not seen you before. Thank you for stopping by. This is TextQuest. And I guess I should show it to you, because I haven't seen you. Sorry, Cakes and Cocaine. You saw it already. I didn't think that you wanted to see it again. So TextQuest is a first-person text-based adventure. Oh, and I have a compiler error. Right, because it returns false. Let's just say else return. I got nothing else. I can just do return true. Oops. So TextQuest is a first-person text-based adventure where everything in the world is literally text. And well, thank you very much, Mr. Shoka. We're actually doing pretty well as far as I can tell, but since I've never done any sort of dev release, streaming, or Greenlight, I have no idea if we're doing well or not. Yeah, so you can just do stuff like normal text-based adventure stuff from the 1980s. You know, you can wear a cap, and since it's a wizard cap, I'm now a wizard. Do stuff like equip items. This is just a test room that has a bunch of items in it to actually make sure that they work properly. But see, I'm holding a small dagger. All that stuff. And of course, the point of the game is to sort of solve puzzles with the items that you can pick up, navigate through the world, and there's actually a demo up that has a bit of the story in there, which is it's kind of an excuse plot, mostly because I didn't want to give too much information on why the player is there. I wanted to sort of fill that information in for themselves. I wanted the player to feel like they're the actual character in the game. But yeah, I think I have a link to the website in the stream. So if you get bored and you want to try out the demo's free on the website. You can download it. Yeah, back to the carrying stuff because I need to take some sort of drugs to make me focus, apparently, since I have no attention span whatsoever. So now we're checking for weight, but we also want to make sure that the item will not exceed the item capacity. Do I even have a capacity thing up there? Oh, item count right there. Or item count plus 1 is greater than instance.max items. And actually, you know what? Oh, that's fine. I doubt anything's really going to reference max items again. So this just says that if the weight is exceeded, then return false, or if it's going to be, if there's too many items with that, with the additional item, return false as well. Otherwise, return true, and that's fine. So we go back to here. So let's just do if inventory dot can carry item this. Then we will do this. Else of course this is in chest, which means I'm probably going to just go check on well, no, I don't have a chest for me to test with right now. The chest in the castle quarters area is kind of that level needs to be redone a bit. A lot of the stuff in there is not zeroed out, so if I tried to import it, it would be way off screen somewhere, and I would have to hunt it down a bit, which I don't want to do. So if it can carry the item, it's going to be fine, and you're going to get that item. Otherwise, it's going to say do I have that as public? I really hope I do. I do. Crap. So I need to have a different output for overburden versus full for having a full capacity. Otherwise, I have the trouble of I think the original Zork did this. If you were at capacity or if you had too much weight, it would just say you can't carry any more objects or you can't carry that item. But it wouldn't necessarily say like you're too heavy or you just don't have space. And if that's the case, I would like to be a little more intuitive. So I'd like to let people know if they need to drop something, which I mean in either case you would, or if they have to drop just like one thing, or if they have to drop something heavy. So I could add a function to this, but I'd rather not have a function that's just going to get your text from this stuff. Ugh, gross. Maybe. Okay, actually, I think I know what I want to do. Go here. So we're going to add a couple of get statements here. So we have current weight, item count. Let's go to public bool. Oh, no, static. Bool at capacity. Probably should name that better, but we'll call it inventory full. Say get return item count greater than or equal to instance.max items. And all that's doing is saying that if we have the same amount or greater than the max items that our inventory can hold, we're going to be a full inventory. And we're going to do something similar right above that with public static bool overweight. Or actually, you know what? Overburdened. Because many Elder Scrolls player has been overburdened and had to slowly walk all the way to the capital. Sell their stuff. Get return. weight greater than or equal to with a big I dot max weight. Okay, and that should work for most cases. I think the inventory full is going to work perfectly, I think, in all cases. Overburdened could get weird. I think what I'm actually going to allow is well, no. You know what? That should be fine, I guess, because can carry item will take care of it. Because overburdened, there's the possibility if I checked it that, well, I'm going to use can carry item to actually check if an item can be added. Because overburdened would actually be fine if you were underweight, but then when you added an item that sent you over the weight, then it could throw some weird errors into it. But I don't think that's going to be a problem since we're going to be using the can carry items to check actually. So output equals inventory dot inventory full. If so, then inventory dot full text. Otherwise, it's going to be inventory dot overburdened text. Oh, look at that! I called it overburdened there too. Hooray for Elder Scrolls references. But since we know that you can't carry the item, we know that your inventory is either full, in which case you're going to have the inventory full text, or you're overburdened if you're not full, which in that case is going to be the overburdened text. And I think that really should just be all we have to do is we just have to add this check to every place that we do this. Which, hooray! And of course now we are not lined up properly. So let's find references again. Why do I have less references than before? Oh dear, it's probably because it has to compile. Or because I have an error. And of course, MonoDevelop got messed up because it has to reopen every single time. Oh, okay, I have a random else here. Why do I have a random else here? That worries me. There is an else, which means... Oh no, I must have deleted something by accident. Of course I did. Wait, what? What the heck? Oh no, it's... Yeah, there's a bug here. Ah, there it is. I had an extra brace. There we go. I hate doing that. Must have been habit from doing the get stuff. Okay, so can't test that yet. We should actually probably put it somewhere where we can't test it. So let's try this again. Find references. Oh no, I don't need that. I want get. Find references. Get item this. This is still the container stuff. If container... Well, I'm not going to do this container stuff for now. I have to do... like I said, the container stuff is weird. Not my preferable choice. So this is add to inventory. So this is all the container stuff. Right, okay, so this is what I want. So I want this. If inventory got can carry item equals this. Else. This should be the main thing for it. Otherwise it's just going to be this again. guess I could probably stick this on the same line. But I don't like being too wide. And I prefer to match my if-else statements. So that's that. I think inventory.add item. Assuming is... Oh. Ah, right. That was... Ugh, of course. Man, it's all messed up again. I hate that it does that. So, yeah, I actually need to do it down here. I forgot about that. The first section up here is if you have something else, or you can have an item give you other items. So like if there's a dispenser or something in the world, you could have it give you items, and that's determined by the verb info's items, which is it's an overcomplicated system. That's what happens when you try to sort of account for everything, and it does. It's both good and bad. It's good because it lets you do a lot of stuff, and it's bad because it makes it a little tricky to actually remember where everything is since you have so many friggin' lines of code. So go down here. This is what we want. Okay. Oh man, I think that. Oh man, I gotta remember this. So this is. Oh wait, no. What we just did was fine. What happens next? Eey. Okay. So I'm going to have to think about this area because there's the possibility of the player, like, let's say that you pick up, or you try to, well, that's just a weird place. When would I ever do that? I mean, the example I can think of is that there's a key ring right now that has two keys on it, and when you take that key ring, it actually just gives you two separate keys. Um, and that's really the only time I can think of having something give you more than one object. But the problem with having to check every single time is that you could have an instance where you're trying to give the player multiple objects, but the weight is exceeded. So I might just let this go as is. So if the player gets multiple objects, it's fine, and I shouldn't worry about it because if you cut it off, like it could get halfway through the items that it's supposed to give you, and then just say you can't carry these, but it's already requested these items and they're there, and it's possible that that interaction can never happen again. So you would just cut off items from the player, and I don't want to do that. So I think we're going to leave that open for now and not really worry about it. But equip. Why do I have a equip item? Oh, right. I can also have interactions force equip an item to you. Um, and if that's the case, I want it to stay like that too. So clothing is something similar, I would assume. Right. Okay. Right. So this is we need to check this here. If inventory dot can carry item, this, then do all this stuff. Let's just go back here and copy this. Else. Nope, nope, not that. Man. Seriously. Seriously. There we go. Let's do this. Hurt. Line endings. Lantern is same thing. Let's do this else first, and then if inventory can carry item this, because all objects that can be put in your inventory derive from item, so I'm not too worried about all this, or checking to make sure it's an item. In fact, I already do that a while before it even gets there. Okay, no compiler errors. So let's test, and hopefully that actually should all work together. So I can take, and moment of truth. Take. Yes! Your inventory is full. You will have to drop something to pick up new items. Okay. That's good. And let's change inventory real quick, since I only have those three items here. Let's change max items to be 4, but our weight is still going to be 4, which means that we should get the "you're carrying too much" or "you're overburdened" message here. Because our hat is 1, our dagger is 1, and our sword is 2. So, take all this stuff again. Take. Get. Grab. Getting fancy. And then take. Your inventory is too heavy, which is kind of not proper English. Your inventory is too heavy. You will have to drop something to pick up new items. Also, I want to try this. You have to drop something to pick up the object name. And to pick up the object name. I think I just... Oh. No, that's fine. Okay. I think I just used you'll have to drop something to pick up new items as a catch-all. But having the object name be spat out, I think, is more informative and more interesting than just new items in general. Maybe I should say you are overburdened. I really hope I'm spelling that right, so I'm going to check that real quick. Overburdened. Hooray! I did. You never know with my terrible spelling. Overburdened. I never trust myself with words anymore. After you stare at words enough, you get semantic saturation, which means that you just don't understand the word itself. So all this stuff is here. We know it works. And real quick, I'll try it with the other thing. So we know it works with like the lantern. We'll try it with the wizard cap. I like that. Let me turn off the stats here. You'll have to drop something to pick up the wizard cap. Okay, that's good. Let's drop knife. Drops the dagger. Take that. Alright. Now let's try to pick up the dagger. Take knife. Yes! Hooray! Overburdened. Now that should be descriptive enough. Something I'm also worried about. Kids absolutely love this game, which is wonderful for me. I love seeing kids play the game. But I'm always worried that I'll have a phrase in there that it's a word that they've never heard and they just don't know what it is. But I mean, context clues here, just saying that you have to drop something to pick up the small dagger. I think that's descriptive enough. So even if a kid doesn't know what overburdened means, they'll understand that they have to drop something for you to not be overburdened. So hopefully that'll be a problem that solves itself. So yeah, hooray! We got a weight system in there now. Nice, shiny, hefty new weight system. I love going off on tangents because it makes me think of implementing systems that I've wanted to implement and I just haven't done so yet. Oh yeah, and all these debug statements here. This is actually because the parser is set to debug stuff, and it debugs literally every single thing it does. So from getting its input checking to see what you're interacting with. And you're always interacting with a couple of things like yourself. You're always interacting with yourself. You're always interacting with your hand. But it's just set to basically ignore those unless you specifically say interact with them. And then, of course, it does all the other parsing stuff. And I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to go through that because it's just, yeah, 1,700 lines of parsing. So yeah, that's that. What would be an interesting thing to do? Oh, we could take a look at the item code, but I probably don't want to clean that up here because this code is, it was one of the first pieces of code written, and right, and I can get rid of these codes or these commented out lines. Don't need this anymore. Well, need a way to differentiate between equipable items in the inventory and outside the inventory. Why do I need to differentiate between those two? I mean, I'm doing it, but okay, I guess I just won't worry about it. I must have added the is in inventory thing. Oh, it's probably just because I wanted to send a message that you can't hold something unless you have it in your inventory, which is kind of dumb. I probably should just have it be added to your inventory automatically. It's fine for now. I'll add a to-do line there. Automatically add item to inventory here. Okay. So yeah, we're not gonna. We're just not gonna do this. I have a commented out line that is the exact same as the line above it. Why? I don't know. Okay. This is the terrible thing about going through old code. Old code has such terrible things to it. And actually, I'm seeing a lot of these strings here. I wonder if I should move those to a central area that I then reference by variable name. That way I don't have to hunt down these strings and change them all. I can just have one string that's always being referenced, and I can just change that one. Oh, man. So many things to consider. And of course, like I said, that's the fun part about going through old code is, you coded it when you didn't know any better. Like, well, no, destroy after I do that on purpose. Why would I destroy it and not just recycle it? That seems so wasteful. Let's just... Oh my god. Oh, right, because it's poolmanager.recycle. Item 2. This is from combining objects. Which, there is actually... I'm going to comment that out for now. I tend to... That's why I have a lot of comment lines, actually. It's because I tend to comment things out before I delete them. That way I know things work with the new system. Okay. What is item 2? All the way up here. Oh, man. Yeah, I do not want to handle that. Ugh, man. Yeah, right there, I was recycling it there. I just, see, that was just one of those cases where it's a small line of code that I knew that it was wrong, I just didn't see it before. So actually that means I can just delete that because I know that it'll work. Okay. Okay. Equipping this stuff. Oh, man. Alright. A lot of things here that I can compress this to. I think I can actually just say this dot transform dot set transform parent, which is a custom thing I set up. Global hero equip point. And then I think I can. Oh no, I couldn't. Crap. I need to add offset to that. Which means that I'm just going to do that for now. Go to decoration, and then add to do, add vector 3 offset, and offset and rotation. Because most of the time that's just used to immediately snap the player or the object to the transform parent. But yeah, I'll handle that later, just because I don't think you guys want to watch me just fix random code bits. As I say, as we're looking at a bunch of random code bits. But doing that will let me essentially get rid of these 4 lines of code and instead replace them with just 1 line of code. Yeah, ugh, man. I can do stuff like this. Handled setting all this automatically without having to call it explicitly here. Yeah, fun. Let's just go back here. And I guess it's been about an hour. I feel it doesn't really give us enough time to start anything really nice and new. I don't know. Is there anything in particular that anyone wants to see, I guess? Or I guess anyone, or anything in particular someone would be interested in. I think what would be an interesting thing to sort of start or reference or go out on. Item IDs. Item types, fine. Appearance item. What is appearance item? Oh, right, that's what that is. I forgot about that. And an appearance item is an object that will only respond to you if, say, like you're a wizard or something like that. Right. I mean, that works already. I don't have to mess with it. It's fairly short and simple. Look at the lantern real quick. I'm curious. This is one of the first things I wrote too. It's probably really nasty. Get rid of that. Don't need that commented outline. Output, the name's already lit, start parser, all this stuff. Don't need to have model commented outlines there. Add to inventory was apparently not resetting the parser correctly at some point. Get rid of that because Global Hero handles it. Can do this. Get rid of that because I know it works. Get rid of this. It's wonderful cutting out old commented code that I no longer need. Get rid of that. I wonder if I should move this output stuff into a function, into a separate function. Because, I mean, everything has it. I feel like I could just pretty safely add it to its own base function. That way I don't have to constantly recode it. I wonder why I didn't do that. There's probably some reason, but... just delete it. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to stop for today. There were a couple of other larger scale things that we could have done, but I don't want to start those with after about an hour in. You know, I don't like streaming for more than an hour and a half, just because I don't want to have people up too late on the East Coast. I mean, I'm on Eastern time, so it's 9 o'clock here, and I know a lot of people have streams that they like to get to around this time as well. That's why I sort of do it at that awkward time after dinner, but before late at night when I guess some of the more Western developers and or streamers are just doing their stuff. Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop. Next week, I will probably give you guys a quick update on the caves level since we started out with that. It'll be nice to see how far that's coming along. Be fun for you guys to look at it. And yeah, we'll keep the rest secret for now. But yeah, thanks for watching. And that'll be it for tonight's stream.